Hi there, welcome. Today I'd like to talk about how we are programmed to age ourselves. Now, from the time we're born, from the time a baby's born, w- we're told it's 1 hour old, or 1 day old, or 3 years old, all the way up. And I find that wouldn't it be easier or um, just as explanatory to say the baby is 1 year young or 3 days young or we're 30 years young or yeah, it's just like one syllable. It's the same one syllable as old. And so from the very beginning, we're taught from children to age ourselves. And then what happened is that our cells take on this programming because whenever you say something like I am, that's like a command statement. And so that goes into our subconscious suggestion box. And it what because whatever you put in your subconscious mind, the answer is yes. It tries to give us what we ask or tell it that we want or we wish for ourselves. Like we might say, oh, I am so tired. And immediately it takes that as like an order. And so it would go about to give you that because it thinks that's what you want. It doesn't judge, it just takes orders. And so, yeah, so we're actually deliberately programmed, we're programming ourselves because if we didn't do that, if we were to say we are X amount of years young, that would go such a long way in helping us to maintain our youth. I mean, we do have like stressful situations that can age us, anger, all the lower vibrations of existence, hatred, jealousy, and all those kinds of things, as well as eating the wrong type of food and so on. But generally speaking, we are deliberately taught by the system to age ourselves because if we didn't, we would live so much longer, even outside of eating bad food for prolonged periods of time. We'd still be telling ourselves that we are X amount of years young. And so that is what goes into our subconscious suggestion box. That's what the cells of our body hears every time we say it, every time we speak it into existence. Because every time we speak something into existence. And so, as I said, the mind, the body, they go together to try and give us what we say that we are. And that's why affirmations can be so powerful, for the good. Um, so yes, and also I've noticed now for the longest time that TV adverts would tell you, when they like selling insurance, they would say, um, or they would show you like elderly people, rinse white hair, or grey or pale blue or purple or whatever, and they might be sitting in a park or in a house in a rocking chair, and they're knitting and they're crocheting, and they're projecting this image of the elderly, like almost like we should like it, that we should embrace being like that. And sometimes they'll say, if you're over 60, I mean, that's not really very old. And yet, so when we see these images constantly, and they wear like those nylon type dresses, sometimes one with a sash or some old cardigan over them, and they're looking like contented because they're old, and all the things that we see around us, all these things our mind takes in and try to make us feel comfortable like that. And but there's a better way. There is a better way. Um, I've got a few notes here, but let me see. Um, no, so the blueprint, yeah, we create like a blueprint for ourselves. You know, first of all, it was called, like in the UK, old age pensioners for like the longest time. I mean, for decades and decades and decades, and then that was changed to um, pension for the elderly, and it's better than old age pensioners, but it still, you know what I mean. It just still sounds so like age, really, so old. And so I just wanted to, make a quick point to say to be aware that if you're not already, that we need to get out of this habit of saying, I'm 40 years old, I'm 70 years old, I'm 60 years old, I'm 63, I'm 22 years old, old. And we finish the sentence with old. And it's such a powerful mantra that we say all the time. Some people will say, how old are you? And then you respond by saying, I am so and so old, really. And if you sort of like silence that number and you say like, okay, I'm 33 years old. And if you imagine that 33 isn't there, you would just be saying, I am old, I am old, I am old, I am old. And so it's kind of like a really like a very cheeky, that's quite a soft word for what they're doing to us, because it's bad. It really is. It's almost illegal. Is that the word? But you know what I mean. It's so detrimental to us, because if we were to condition ourselves that we are young, as I said, words have such power. We are young. We would live so much longer, and then we become oracles, right? That we would pass knowledge on. We would live much longer, and so it's not beneficial to the system to have us staying young. So even though we might say, for example, look after ourselves like really well, eat well, exercise regularly, have positive thoughts, and so on, the most powerful thing that you could say to yourself, detrimental that is that I am old. I am old. It's just so powerful. I am X amount of years old. And so it would be so good. You just say to yourself, try it, and you say to yourself, whatever age you are, I am 36 years young, or excuse me, I'm 36 years of age, and so on and so on. So, just be aware of that, try it out, and be aware of the trick that they've been playing on us for centuries and centuries. It's about time that we open our eyes and wake up to the tricks that they use on us. And I mean, they don't miss a thing. They don't miss anything. And it's just really disturbing to see how far that these beings in control would go to put the human race in this sort of situation where we're always like living in fear, pain, poverty, limitation, casting curses on ourselves, because that's really what it is in a way. You're casting a curse on yourself, telling yourself to be old, that you are old. We never say that we're young. We never say that we're young. We always say, I'm so and so old, I'm such and such year old. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Just something to like tickle your imagination, something to think about. I'm Diana, and thank you for listening. Excuse me, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.